Thank you so much for watching. Today, I want to talk to you about model-driven development in Appify. At Appify, the first thing you do is you connect to your data sources. This means we connect to the systems when your business information actually exists. We will be able to use the data model defined in those systems. Or you can create a complete new data model user or cloud database, Appify Flex. Regardless of where these objects are coming from, you will be able to manage asset control to make sure you don't overexpose data unintentionally to your users. Additionally, we will be able to associate extended actions at the object level. That means when objects are saved or updated, we will be able to take further action. The focus on data model makes no-code apps configuration a much simpler and effective process. Let's dig into it. This is Appify Studio, and this is actually the model when most of the underlying configuration takes place. Here we can access our data sources. We see the one that I created previously, and we can create a new one. You will select what is the appropriate connector to use. In this case, I'm going to use Salesforce. Enter some basic information. And once it's created, we provide the system with enough information so it can go and interact with this data source. In this case, specifically for Salesforce, we just need to activate it and then go through the Salesforce-defined authentication process. Let me enter my credentials. Grant permissions. And what's going to happen when I hit refresh is that Appify will, with this connection to your Salesforce, will read what is the definition of objects that you have there, what is the data model, and make it available for you to use in the platform. Let's wait a second while this process finishes. Now that it has concluded, we can see that I have 168 objects in this Salesforce instance. And I can actually go and list them to see which ones I have there. If there's a specific object that I would rather not have any person with access to the configuration tools to use, I can define to exclude it and make it unavailable to our users. Another option will be to create my own data model. And for that, I will use the Flex database. I will go straight into the object modeler, make sure that I select the Flex data model, and add the objects. I can create a new object. I'm going to call this employees. I'm going to make it, give it a descriptions. I could add task categories. Well, I'll go here into the fields and I will edit this one, which is the title, and I'm going to call this last name. I'm going to add another one called employee ID and make this in alphanumeric, so we can even put a prefix here. Let's add last name as a text field. I can define additional values. Maybe I want to add a list of categories of employment type. And I would select a list of values. And we can enter here full-time, part-time, and contractor. I'm done with these objects. I'm going to save it. And maybe I need a photo of the employees. As you can see, we support media field types that would allow us to connect that information directly. Once I'm done, I save my object. And the system is telling me, hey, you need to deploy this to make it available for users in the rest of the studio. So I will deploy my objects. And once it's done, you can see that one record was completed. Now, I have the data model that I define it, and I also have the data model that come from the data sources that I'm connected to. To both of these, let me go back to Appify setup. I can define access control. I do that by going to Profiles Permissions. I can create a new profile. I'm going to call this demo profile. I can associate users, so I can say, well, which one are the users that will be here? So I have a couple of users in here, and I can define the access they will have. So I can add a new object. So for example, here, I can use this account object. And you can see that I can define which actions can be performed by this profile to this object, like read, create, edit, and delete. And I can go even further and decide if I want to manage control at the attribute level. Will give me the possibility to make it really granular, which give me the possibility to make this very granular and control exactly what I want my users to be able to do. I can save my changes. Last but not least, to these objects, I can associate additional action. Things that the system will take care of regardless on which application these objects are used. That's what we do in Save Actions. We can create a new rule, and we're gonna call this a demo rule. We're gonna select the data source. We're gonna select our object. We can use here our account object, and we can define a criteria to be able to apply these rules. So, for example, I need to add a new criteria and then demo criteria, and say, well, this rule will only apply when the billing state is equals to, let's say, Florida. I add this. So when this an account from Florida is either created or updated, I could decide to send an email notifications, and I can use fields that I have in my data, so it doesn't have to be a static information. I can send an app notification. Again, I can leverage my fields. I can call edit actions, which means connected to more logic that we have in the system. But very importantly, we can call external services. So this means that the objects that are being used in Appify can trigger a request to your services, to your microservices, for you to be able to complete logic in the backend. In those requests, we will be able to send information about the objects that we're going to include besides the one that is currently being used. Thank you so much for watching. For more information, visit our website and feel free to reach out directly.